Everyone. Sorry for this back and forth. So I will maybe start with the session. So hi, give me just one sec. Sorry. So good morning, afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. At the moment, we have almost 50 attendees. So thank you so much for joining our session on Restoring Our Lands, the Youth-Led Solutions. My name is Uxue Urteaga Ribeviñaspre, and I'm the Youth and Partnerships Analyst at the GEF. Nice meeting you all. So this session today is led by the GEF, but we have invited our partners, the people that are doing the real work on the ground, to this webinar. First of all, I want to go around some logistics notes. So I want to tell you that we have interpretation into French, Spanish, and Portuguese. So please click on the globe that it's down in the bar of the Zoom webinar and select the language that you want. And also you can feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. This webinar is being live streamed on multiple platforms. So if you have any questions, also please post them using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we will be looking into those questions, and then we'll have a moment in the end to answer all these questions that you have, but also we can share our emails if you have further questions, so we can also keep in contact. And finally, in the interest of transparency, that I want to remark that today's session is being recorded, and then you will receive the link into the video afterwards. And then we will also write an article about the key messages of the webinar that will be available in the Lands portal website. And yeah, I would like to reiterate that we have a translation into French, Spanish, and Portuguese. So please feel free to use it. And I will now start the webinar by giving the floor to our colleague, Ulrich Affel, which is the Senior Environment Specialist here at the GEF, who is leading the land degradation focal area, to give you first an overview of what is the GEF and how the GEF works. But then we would like to move into the real-life solutions that are being implemented on the ground in our different in the different countries that we work at. So let me share the screen now, and I will have and Ulrich will join soon the session. Hopefully you can see the slides here. Let me know if it works.
Yep, it works.
It works. Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I have the pleasure to give you a very quick overview of the GEF, its role and how it connects to land degradation and use. And I really would like to use only maybe 5 minutes of your time, because we want to keep enough time for all our exciting speakers that will illustrate the work that we do through project examples. So, in a nutshell, the GEF is a global partnership. It is the largest environmental multi-donor trust fund in the world. We have 18 implementing agencies that are accredited, and we are serving the financial mechanism of 5 international conventions, environmental conventions, for example, the CBD, the UNFCCC, the UNCCD, Stockholm, and the Minamata Convention. So we are helping countries to fulfill their commitments towards the conventions. But this partnership is actually a partnership of governments, of the private sector, of all multi-stakeholders that we are working with. And what many people don't know is that the GEF is actually a family of funds. So we have the GEF Trust Fund that is serving as a financial mechanism of those conventions, but we also have other funding windows like the Least Developed Country Fund, the Special Climate Change Fund, the Global Biodiversity Framework Fund, and the Nagoya Protocol Fund. And we are working together as a family of fund, and many of our projects are funded not only by one trust fund, but by several multi-trust funds. It's the governance of the GEF. I don't want to go into too much detail, just to show you that it's really a unique arrangement in our global partnership, that we have every 4 years, we have an assembly. Every 2 times per year, we have council meetings. Our secretariat is here based in Washington, D.C., and we have also an independent evaluation office, a scientific and technical advisory panel, and a trustee that saw the World Bank as our trustee. So it's really a unique arrangement, our governance model. And if you would like to understand more about the governance, I would like also to encourage you to check our website, where everything is explained in more detail. Just to give you an overview of what we have available in resources. So, for example, in GEF 8, that's a 4-year cycle, started in 2022 to 2026. Our donors pledged $5.3 billion. We have 39 donor nations, so really a broad arrangement of donors. And these 5.3 million were actually the largest replenishment in the GEF history, as you can here see in the slide, in the graphic. And this funding is mostly allocated through a system that we call STAR, and it allocates the funding to countries and bring the projects back to us through implementing agencies. Very briefly, the GEF delivery model in terms of how we program our funding through projects. We have 5 focal areas here on the left-hand side as our pillars of our focal area delivery. And then these are combined in integrated programs. For example, we have a food systems program, we have a sustainable cities program, have clean and healthy oceans, and these programs, in total 11 programs, combine those focal area funding in larger programs. And cross-cutting, we work with private sector stakeholders and women and youth in delivering those projects. And finally, just wanted to highlight some results of GEF investments and projects, and we will learn more in this session about some examples of those projects. The results in biodiversity are that we have established more than 100 million hectares of protected areas, restored almost 20 million hectares of land, brought about 75 million hectares under sustainable land management, mitigated 510 million metric tons of GHG emissions, and benefited more than 100 million people. This is just to say that the GEF the main mandate is to protect the environment. This is our mandate. We are supposed to create global environmental benefits, and we work together with all our stakeholders so that also local people, local communities can benefit from this. But the GEF is unique in its focus on the global environment. And on our youth engagement, I will hand back to Ushir to say a few more words about our youth engagement and how this links to our work on sustainable land management. Thank you.
We are changing. Hello. So As Ulrich has explained, we work with the countries. This is a country-led organization where countries, with their allocation that they receive every 4 years, establish their priorities, what they want to work on. And in the land area, they also do that. But how do we bring the young people at the GEF? How do we work with them? So it's not a one system way that we integrate youth in our work. So our main business model is working through our programs and projects. So we integrate young people with our stakeholder policies and also with our gender policy. On a stakeholders policy, as it says, we need to do a mapping of the stakeholders of the area that we are going to work in. And in for example, in Africa, where most of the population is under 35, this is a very important group that we need to target. So while we do that analysis of who are the stakeholders, we see that there are youth networks, there are young people with problems accessing land tenure, and so we integrate their visions, their challenges, and the ideas that they have into the projects. So today we're going to see how we do that in one of our projects, but also we do it in the governance model. It's very important to have young people not only when we do our projects, but also when we are designing them, where their decisions are making. So the GEF is supporting, for instance, young negotiators to access spaces as the UNCCD, where the decisions are made about what are going to be the targets for the next years, what are going to be the decisions on sustainable land management, on agriculture. So we support young negotiators to access these spaces. But we also have other type of global programs that are not tied to any programmatic area. We have, for example, a fellowship program, educational program for young conservationists that want to access further education levels. But also we establish partnerships with different networks, that this could be YPAR, the Young Professionals Agricultural Network that is here today, but also with other youth networks such as GBN, such as the UNCC, the Youth Caucus. So all together we can bring their vision. So this is like a multi-level engagement that we do, and that's what we wanted to showcase today, how the GEF is supporting youth-led innovation. So to do so, we have invited four, well, I think it's three because Aliu wasn't able to connect, but three of our partners from different levels. We have Chris Kettle, who works in one of the GEF funded projects by IUCN and CGR. So he is going to showcase how in our programmatic area we are working with youth-led innovation, with young people, with and youth networks. But we also have here Sagar Arya, who is the CSO network representative. He is the CSO network is an independent network that we have here at the GEF that represents the civil society, and he has been with us for several years, and he's bringing that youth vision into this governance model. But he also has he's working as the Chief Technology Officer at a youth-led organization called Plan for the Planet. And we also are bringing Liliana Kister, who is the representative of YPAR Peru. This is a youth network working on young professionals on the agricultural rural area. So I will give the floor to them, because these are the protagonists of today's session. And I think we have all of them here. I don't know if they can say hello. So I want to say bring into the panel that we're going to have now to Christopher, Sagar, and Liliana. So first of all, I want I want to start with Christopher, if he could present himself and also present the project that he's leading up. Yes, you can share your screen if you want. I don't know. And Christopher works in an IUCN and CGR project called My Farm Trees Restoration for Resilience. This is a very interesting project that brings innovation into the ground. So Chris, the floor is yours.
Great, thanks, Lushwe. I hope you can see my screen and you
Yes,
can hear me very clearly. It's a great pleasure to present to you the My Farm Trees platform, which is a a GEF-supported initiative that implementing agency being IUCN and executed through the Alliance of Biodiversity International and CIAT, of which I'm a principal scientist and a lead on restoration. I don't see my screen being shared yet, but maybe it is. Is it being shared?
Yes, it's sure, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. And just at the very front to let you know that if you want to go into much more detail about My Farm Trees, you can access the website, which is shown on the screen here. And My Farm Trees is fundamentally a digital platform that we developed to pilot to enable blockchain to be used as a monitoring and verification incentive system for smallholder-led restoration. But it's based upon 25 plus years of science around what results in resilient multifunctional landscapes. So why is that really needed? There's some very clear reasons. We know from many years of science that restoration is fundamentally limited by the availability of the right species in the right place and adapted to climate change. And the multifunctional landscapes, to be resilient, really need to include a diversity of species from that local environment. And they need to be ensured to be genetically diverse, locally adapted seeds and trees that will deliver many benefits to smallholder farmers. And that we need to link those smallholder farmers to global climate and biodiversity goals, and digital platforms offer an extraordinary opportunity to do that. And so the My Farm Trees combines three key areas. First of all, the platform focuses, and I give an example here of a young smallholder farmer, Lawrence, from West Siaya County in Kenya, where he has a passion for seed collection and propagation of native trees. But using the My Farm Trees platform, he's able to demonstrate and prove that he's doing this based on the latest science, capturing genetic diversity and collecting species that actually are locally suitable for the farmers around him. Not only is he able to verify and document that, but he's also empowered to develop business entrepreneurship based on using the technology to link him to markets, and also to increase the value of his product, proving the quality of his planting material, and to connect to other restoration projects. This also provides him with a greater incentive to develop his business. And in fact, over the course of the last 3 years of piloting this, he's doubled his production of native tree species and increased his business productivity by 200% through the partnership with the platform. In addition to smallholder farmer-led nurseries and seed collection, there's also the need to verify the trees that are growing and to ensure farmers have access to information around which species will deliver their needs. And so in this example here, Rose is another smallholder farmer who recognized that increasing tree cover was really important for her resilience to climate change, particularly in the context of water, flooding, which is a major problem in Siaya County. And through being registered on the platform with My Farm Trees, she not only is able to document and verify the trees growing on her farm, but directly receive incentive digital payments through a digital wallet, in this case using M-Pesa, to actually accrue an income from the trees that are growing. And one of the unique characteristics of My Farm Trees, in addition to the blockchain, is that it uses a points-based system. So if you're growing more native trees that are good for food security and nutrition, you accumulate more points and therefore increase the amount of income that you can generate through growing those trees on your farm. And the blockchain means that we have a full traceability from seed collection right the way through to trees growing on farm and being registered on the platform. So to date, the platform has been piloted in 2 countries in Africa, in Cameroon across 3 counties, and in Kenya across 3 counties. And the impact in the pilot itself has already led to nearly 3,000 hectares of land under restoration, an increase to more than 50 native tree species being integrated into nurseries and seed systems, more than 6,000 empowered farmers registered on the platform. And now this figure is updated to nearly $250,000 of payments being passed to farmers through the platform for the growth of native trees and diverse trees on their farms. Over 220,000 seedlings tracked through the system, and building the capacity of over 300 entrepreneurial nurseries. So while the platform has been piloted in Cameroon and Kenya, we're now really looking to scale and are already scale ready in multiple countries across Latin America, Asia, and Africa. In Ethiopia, Uganda, Senegal, and Malawi being key countries. So I think I'll stop there and allow for a bit more discussion. But if you want to know more, you can click on that QR code and register to gain more information on the platform. Back to you, Ushwe.
Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing this project. This is a very interesting project that brings together technology and innovation, accessing to these technologies and these networks for young farmers to share what they're doing, to share and to learn more about, to share the information and the knowledge between the other farmers and bring everybody together. But this is a very interesting project that is link more or less what our next panelist works on. It's Sagar Arial. He is, as I said, the CTO for Plant for the Planet, but he's also our CSO network representative. And Sagar, how are you? I don't know if you want to share some, if you just want to share something or just, yeah. So my question for you is that Plant for the Planet combines youth leadership and also technology. And could you share more about how this idea came to life and how are young people driving it and how is your organization pushing this young leadership in this area?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ushwe, for inviting me here. I started climate activism when I was 10 years old. Felix, the founder of Plant for the Planet, was 9 years old when he founded Plant for the Planet. We met some years later, stayed connected, and in 2018, when we both finished college, we asked each other, what's next? And until this time, the first years of Plant for the Planet were about empowerment, about showing children and youth how they can speak up. And this was a quite powerful process. We ran some campaigns like Stop Talking, Start Planting, which was a really playful and visual push to act. It was quite popular. It was basically celebrities like Black Eyed Peas, Giselle Bundchen, and many, many heads of state appearing in these posters where was a child basically covering their mouth. And it was a message in a way that was both stylish and very, very urgent. Today, more than 100,000 children and youth have gone through our empowerment programs in over 70 countries. They've given speeches several times, even in the UN General Assembly halls, planted trees all around the world, stood up in negotiations. But at some point, we realized speeches alone is not going to solve the climate crisis, and it won't restore a forest. As we like to say, planting a tree in a campaign is really easy, but restoring and bringing back a forest is incredibly hard. As Christopher also mentioned, you need the right species, you need long-term monitoring, you need funding, and to get that much needed funding, you need trust. And to ensure sustainability, you need to work with local and indigenous knowledge. Many on-the-ground groups don't have access to the technology they need, or the technical advisors who could guide them. Tools for monitoring or scaling are often very expensive, too complex, or created by corporations focused on profit, not the restoration work itself, so it's not accessible at all. Researchers are also often not accessible. Monitoring is very expensive, and many of those groups don't even have a way to receive funding from people who would like to support their work. For example, if you're in Africa or if you're in a country where getting funding from Europe or America is very difficult. So this is where my passion for technology comes in. in 2018, when we finished college, I really believed that technology can democratize the access for this, and it can give every youth-led initiative the same power and credibility that we can get in the global north. So we started this idea to create what we today call the Forest Cloud. It's a collection of free, open source, and commission-free tools to help raise funds, support forest restoration projects, with advanced tools that enhance monitoring, transparency, and community mobilization. To give you an example, with Tree Mapper, one of the tools that is part of Forest Cloud, anyone with a smartphone can measure and record trees' size, species, and health in seconds. It means, for example, a youth group in Nepal or an indigenous collective in Peru or a rural NGO in Cameroon can produce data as credible as a global organization. And since most people around the world have cell phones, this just does not become a theory. You can do it in practice, and we've seen many organizations and individuals do this over the last few years. Forest Cloud platform are used today by nearly 300 restoration projects and many individuals. So they enable these groups and verified nonprofit to receive donations without commissions. So this is one of our key USPs. If there is a nonprofit looking for funding, we enable them to showcase their projects with the data that they collect from Tree Mapper, with the data that they are able to share. We create trust. And we go even further. Together with UNEP, FAO, and industry experts, we developed easy-to-measure standards for global forest restoration. On top of that, we send ecologists to review these projects. Some of these are things which are very expensive if it's done by companies, but we try to do this for free. And if the restoration work of these projects meets the highest standards, then they can receive a top project status. Of course, there is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to restoration, right? There are different ways to do this. And we look at communities, we look at ecosystems, and we adapt how to review these different projects in different ecosystems. Because in tropics, you might be able to restore 40 different species, but if you're restoring in a very cold climate, you might not have the same diversity. And all of this support that we provide, including restoration advisory, is free for projects on the ground. We're able to finance this through support from private sector, institutional funders, and private donors that we've managed to gain over the last years. And because ultimately, democratizing technology is not about replacing people with machines. We want very much the people connection. We're not going for let's plant trees with drones. We very much believe that indigenous peoples should still be at the center of these restoration movements if we are really looking for sustainability. And it's about empowering communities, youth, indigenous people, local stewards, by giving them the tools to restore their land on their own terms. And to see that it's working, you can try it yourself. You can search Plant for the Planet. I will drop a link. And through Forest Cloud, we've helped restore and fund more than 90 million trees worldwide. We're really going to 100 million trees in next months or so. And just as there's no one way to restore a forest or to work with youth, failure, learning, and adapting are part of the process for us. And I believe young people have a lot to do to contribute, especially in this time. So when I get asked, I just say, educate the youth, put the educated youth in power, right? Because they will change and inspire societies. We've seen this. They're not just the future. We proved that when youth are trusted, nothing is impossible. And if there's anything we learn from history, from scientists to engineers, from leaders to activists, some of the biggest changes in the world have been brought by people in their 20s. So we just need to trust them, and we just need to put them in the position of leadership. Thank you. Back to you, Sri.
Thank you so much, Sagar. That's right. We need to give access to resources. It can be educational, it can be the trainings, it can be technology to young people, because they do have the ideas, they do have the willingness to innovate, but sometimes that's what is missing, that bridge to access to the resources. And it's also nice to see that we need to understand that we can fail sometimes. We put so much pressure on ourselves most of the times, that we need to, change the planet, change the crisis that is happening now. We have a lot of eco-anxiety, but we also need to learn how to fail, how to work all together and learn from those failures and to the next step and the next idea. And that will come because we're young people. We have a long way to go. So I want to give now the floor to our next presenter. She is Liliana Quispe. She is from YPART, Peru. So we met at YPART, which is the Young Professional for Agricultural Rural Development organization. This is a global organization that works with the GEF on our food systems integrated program. They are in our global platform governance model. And we met them because they are helping us on our integrated program of food system, integrating that youth lens, youth component, and making that bridge with young people on the ground with this GEF project. So Liliana, she is the representative of YPAR Peru. And I want to ask you, how is YPAR Peru leading efforts on the ground? And can you share some examples on how are you supporting youth leadership and youth innovation in Peru through your organization?
Gracias, Sutze. ¿Tendrán mis presentaciones?
Sí, te las comparto ahora. Un segundo.
Ok, gracias. Bueno, buenos días. Aquí en Perú es días. Un gusto saludarlos a todos y muchas gracias por la invitación. Les comento un poco, como ya dijo Uxue, sobre WIPAR. WIPAR es una red internacional de jóvenes profesionales por el desarrollo agrario rural. Estamos en más de 60 países y, bueno, yo soy la representante país de WIPAR Perú. Nuestra característica es ser voluntarios, jóvenes profesionales voluntarios, activistas. En Perú ya tenemos cerca de 10 años, el 2006 empezó en Perú. Y bueno, tenemos varias iniciativas que hemos hecho a nivel de voluntariado, pero también en nuestros años que estamos acá, hemos llegado a concretar algunos proyectos de más envergadura. Ok, ¿está bien con la traducción? ¿Sí se puede? Hola.
Yes, people, hello. So for the translation, just please the global icon on the bottom right and choose your language into Spanish, into English and Spanish. Thank you very much.
Ok, bueno, entonces les quería comentar un poco las iniciativas que tenemos actualmente. Esta es una de las iniciativas y proyectos que ya tienen 8 años. Este año es su 8º año, está en proceso de justamente ejecución, lleva alrededor de 4 meses, estamos en su último mes. Está dirigido a jóvenes profesionales también de los últimos años de la universidad y es totalmente online. Está implementado a nivel de alianzas con la Universidad Católica del Perú y también con organizaciones de agroecología. Este año tiene una temática muy especial que son hacer planes de emprendimiento agroecológicos con jóvenes líderes de comunidades rurales. Y para ello convocamos a un gran número de profesionales especialistas en el tema y la característica de esta iniciativa de la Escuela de Jóvenes Ruralistas en su 8º año es que todo es voluntario. Los que organizamos, los que ingresan, los ponentes, nuestros aliados y todos son personas voluntarias. Entonces, esto es un poco de lo que ya se va desarrollando. Ahorita está en ejecución. La siguiente, por favor. La siguiente diapositiva. Esta es otro de nuestras iniciativas, proyectos. microproyectos que ganamos el año pasado. Esto sí está en territorio, está en una escuela en Lambayeque y fue liderada o está siendo liderada por una de nuestras voluntarias también de Guaypar, Perú, que es Isa Calderón. Ella es ambientalista, ya reconocida mundialmente, y lo está haciendo en la comunidad donde ella tiene el emprendimiento de restauración ambiental. Entonces aquí trabajamos con un biohuerto para una escuela rural, y con los padres de familia, con la comunidad, y con todo ellos se juntan para hacer todo un proceso de implementación del biohuerto agroecológico, luego utilizarlo como un medio de educación, sensibilización para la población, también mejorar su sistema alimentario y su concientización ambiental. Esto también está en desarrollo, estamos terminando esta iniciativa ya estos meses y posiblemente tengamos una ampliación para hacerlo en otra escuelita que está unos caseríos más arriba. Entonces, esta es otra de nuestras iniciativas que lo manejamos en alianza con COPEME y CEDEP. La siguiente, por favor. La siguiente diapositiva. Gracias. Este sí es un proyecto de más tiempo. Son alrededor de 3 años que se viene implementando en Perú también. Es Jóvenes Agroecológicos en Acción por el Perú. Este proyecto está en alianza, lo está liderando la Asociación Nacional de Agroecológicos del Perú, es AMPE, y por otro lado está en alianza con la Universidad Pontificia Católica del Perú también. Nosotros tenemos el componente de formación y fuimos los que lideramos el equipo técnico de gestión de la escuela agroecológica para los jóvenes tanto de Amazonas como en Ayacucho. Esto sí fue presencial porque este proyecto sí tiene fondos y bueno, esto es un poco de lo que desarrolló en esta fase de formación que nosotros lideramos. La siguiente, por favor.
And it is implemented online, having alliances with the Catholic
Esta es
University
otra iniciativa
of
que
Peru
tenemos
and
este
with,
año.
several
Nosotros
associations about
en el área de
agroecology.
incidencia
The theme
hicimos
for this year
diagnósticos de
is to
juventudes
have
rurales de 3 regiones,
agroecological plans
Cusco,
with
Cajamarca
young
y Ancash.
rural
Estos
leaders.
3
we
diagnósticos
greater number of
fueron
professionals,
elaborados en los primeros meses del año. A raíz de eso se sacaron focos de problemáticas más fuertes que de hecho desde Guaypar Perú promovemos también, y el tema de sistemas alimentarios y agroecología estuvo presente también. Luego lo llevamos a un espacio de presencialidad donde tuvimos estos encuentros con los jóvenes rurales para poder validar estos datos que habíamos recopilado de la parte secundaria a nivel estadística. Y estos fueron un poco los resultados. También estamos en proceso de sistematizar estas experiencias. Lo acabamos de terminar ahora recién en agosto. Y estos fueron los 3 lugares donde hicimos la parte presencial. Ahí les comento que hubo mucha recepción desde la parte de los jóvenes, expresar desde sus voces lo importante que es el tema ambiental para ellos, lo importante que es para ellos también trabajar en innovación, en tecnología, en nuevas oportunidades en sus territorios, y bueno, que el tema de la problemática rural no era alejado de ellos, ¿no? Y también algo que discutíamos mucho acá era el tema de que un joven rural no puede ser visto o empacado dentro de lo que es territorio. O sea, ahora ya el joven rural está en constante movimiento entre la urbanidad y la ruralidad. Entonces, el nuevo joven rural tiene otro perfil y también es necesario tener todo un conocimiento de la parte educación superior para poder mejorar sus territorios. Entonces ya aquí se está hablando de profesionalizar el campo, ¿no? Desde verlos desde los profesionales que ya somos, regresar a nuestros territorios y ver cómo cambiamos y cómo potencializamos nuestros territorios. Entonces fue muy, muy interesante este espacio. De hecho, da
This
para
is a
hablar mucho
project
más, porque
of
son diagnósticos y temas
a long time.
muy
We've been working on
importantes,
this
pero creo que
for
no va a
over
alcanzar el
10,
tiempo acá, así
sorry,
que se los
3
menciono
years in
y
Peru.
seguimos pasando a la
This is
siguiente,
Jóvenes
por favor.
Agroecológicos en
La
Acción
siguiente
para
diapositiva.
el Perú. So,
Y esta es otra de
Agroecological
nuestras
Youth
iniciativas,
in Action
desde el
for
grupo de
Peru.
voluntarios también, en donde se empezó
And
a
they
diseñar
are
un podcast de territorio vivo.
working with
Este podcast lo
University
que desea es
Pontificia of
exponer o
Peru.
compartir las
So we
experiencias desde jóvenes líderes
part of the
de
training
las zonas rurales
and
que
the
están
managing
trabajando
part of the
por cambiar
agroecological
su
school
localidad, ¿no?
for
Entonces
youth
ya hemos
for
tenido
the
2 episodios. La primera ha sido nuestra voluntaria, también parte de nosotros, Isa Calderón, hablando un poco de lo que es Sumas Causay, de todo el trabajo que viene haciendo en restauración y la meliponicultura. Y por el otro lado tuvimos una invitada de Cocausay, que también hace trabajo con el tema de recuperación ambiental frente a daños de la minera en Abancay. También luego estamos en proceso de grabar nuevos episodios y esos son los que vienen ahora. Y bueno, estos son como nuestras iniciativas más potentes que hemos tenido este año y en realidad que seguimos trabajando en ello. Y todos nuestros materiales y todo lo que hacemos está colgado en nuestras redes. La siguiente diapositiva está en Facebook, en Instagram, en LinkedIn y bueno, en la página de Whitepar Global también nos pueden encontrar. Eso es un poco de lo que quería compartirles como activismo, porque Whitepar termina siendo un colectivo, es una red de jóvenes que se juntan para hacer cosas para otros jóvenes. Así que eso nos encanta para nosotros, es de jóvenes para jóvenes. Estamos muy agradecidos, tenemos una comunidad en Perú de alrededor de 40 jóvenes que nos hemos unido para hacer todo este tipo de iniciativas y seguimos haciéndolo actualmente, ¿no? Y Whitepar va a seguir, nosotros nos renovamos año tras año y eso es lo que trae Whitepar, ¿no? Entonces, eso sería, gracias, muchas gracias por el espacio.
How important the environment is and
Thank you
how
so much,
important it is to work
Liliana.
on the
Whitepar is a great
new
network that
technologies
brings
for
people together
agriculture,
because
and the
when
rural and
young people in
environmental
rural
issues
areas,
are
they
part of
seek,
the
in this
their
economical
life.
status that we are right now, we need to empower young people in rural areas to stay, to learn, to train, so they can keep their knowledge there, but also create a network of support, create a network of them not feeling alone on sharing best practices. So it's great what Whitepar Peru is doing, and Whitepar has different chapters in different countries. They have also throughout all Latin America, but also Africa and Asia. So we encourage you to go to their website and see if there is a Whitepar chapter in your country that you would like to join, just to find that community where you can strengthen your knowledge, but also to find peers that you can share your challenges, share your ideas with, and then and keep promoting sustainable land management. I want to follow with our last panelist today, and maybe as we took too much time, I think we can have Aliou Mustafa with us. I see that he's connected,
that we have,
and then we can also start answering some of your questions that you're putting on the Q&A chat. And
which is
Aliou Mustafa, he is
and we share
a member of our Indigenous Peoples Advisory Group here at the GEF, but he's also
working in order
an
to bring
SGP Small
some
Grants
change
Program
to their lands.
Indigenous Fellow, where some years ago he received this fellowship to support projects on the ground that were happening in Cameroon. He was monitoring and evaluating them, and I want to invite him here to the panel to share his experiences, because based on your experience, and we want to know how you think that Indigenous youth are contributing to sustainable land governance, and how does your work alongside with your experience on SGP and also as a member of the Indigenous Peoples Advisory Group of the GEF support this
and all our
Alio?
materials and everything that
thank
we're
you.
doing.
I hope you can hear me.
You can find
Yes, we
it
can hear
in
you.
our website.
Thank you. Greetings,
If you
dear
can show
colleagues.
it in the next
This is Aliou
slide.
Mustafa.
We have
Sorry,
Facebook,
I'm just putting off my camera for network
LinkedIn,
reasons.
our
Actually,
YPAT
as Ushi rightly
website,
mentioned, I am a member of the GEF Advisory Board,
Instagram.
and I
So
also
that's what I wanted to share with
was a
you.
fellow for the GEF
YPAT is a
Indigenous Peoples
network
Fellowship
of
Program.
young people who
This
get
is a
together
program
to do
which
things
help
for
a lot
other
of
young
indigenous
people.
communities in
So that's
Cameroon
what we love doing.
in project
We are
management,
very
range land
thankful for the
restoration,
community that
organic
we have in
agriculture,
Peru.
which
We
is
are
part of
about
the
40 young
culture
people,
of the
and
Baka
we
community
continue
in
doing
Cameroon
these
and
initiatives. So
the
all the
pastoralist
time,
communities who rely on
we
land
renovate every
for
year,
grazing, for
and
animal
that's
keeping,
what YPAT
and for milk
brings.
production. So during this fellowship,
So
which was one of the most
yes, that
exciting
would be
journeys
all.
in my own
Thank you
professional
for
career,
giving me
because
the
I was
space to
able to
speak.
work with so many communities on the
Thank you
ground.
so much,
We're able to train
Liliana.
communities in
YPAR
the
is a
south
great
region of
network
Cameroon
that
on the
brings people
organic
together because
agriculture in areas where
when
land
young people
seems
in
not
rural
productive.
areas, they
This is
sit,
using waste
in
from
this
homes
economical
to produce organic
status that we
fertilizer,
are
which is
right now.
chemical free,
We
to
need
be
to
able to
empower young people
restore
on rural
and
areas
improve upon
to
lands
stay,
in
to
that part
learn,
of the
to
country.
train, so
And
they
through
can,
these, community farms were
keep
created to
their
enable the
knowledge
people
there,
to
but
divert
also
their
create a
attention
network of support,
from
create a
poaching and
network of
illegal
them
hunting
not feeling
into
alone on
agriculture,
sharing
which
best
is
practices.
something which
So
the youths
it's
are
great what
embracing so
YPAT
well.
Peru
And
is
today
doing,
it's becoming a
and
big
YPAR
program
has
in that
different
part of the
chapters in
country where
different countries.
many
They have
people are
also
so
throughout all
interested in
Latin America, but
agriculture for
also
survival.
Africa and Asia.
In the
So
other
we
another side,
encourage
we had
you
to
to go
deal
to
with
their
the
website
pastoralist
and see
communities of the
if there
Bororo
is
people
a
in the
YPAR
northwest region of
chapter
Cameroon
in
and the
your
west
country that
region
you
of
would like to
Cameroon
join,
too.
just to find that community
This is
where
a
you can
community which
strengthen
depends
your
solely
knowledge,
on
but
land
also
for
to
animal
find
upbringing,
peers
as
that
I
you can
rightly said.
share your
So we
challenges,
encourage
share your ideas with,
the
and then
communities to be
and
able
keep
to
promoting sustainable
restore
land
lands
management.
and, of course,
I want to
demarcate
follow with
indigenous lands and territories
our last panelist
using
today, and maybe as we took
animal pasture
too much
plots.
time, I think we
We
can
introduce the production
have
of
Aliou
and the
Mustafa
growth
with
of
us.
bracharia,
I see that
guatemala,
he's
and the other
connected,
animal
and then we
fodder,
can
which is
also
part of
start
the
answering some of your
community,
questions
so that these communities
you,
can be able to
you're putting
protect,
on the
restore,
Q&A
and
chat.
improve upon land.
And Aliou Mustafa, he is our member of our Indigenous Peoples Advisory Group here
Make
at
sure
GEF, but he's
land
also
becomes so border
an SGP Small
and
Grants
farmer
Program
grazier conflicts, because here we are
Indigenous
characterized with so many
fellow,
problems of farmer grazier
where
conflicts.
some
So
years ago
this
he received this
our
fellowship to
initiative was more of
support
a means to trace
projects
transhuman
on the
corridors
ground
for
that were
graziers,
happening in
so much
Cameroon.
so that they
He
are
was
going to
monitoring
limit
and
themselves
evaluating
within
them,
their own
and I want
circle,
to
not
invite him
infringing on
here to the
farmlands,
panel
which
to
has
share
always
his
brought the issue of
experiences,
farmer
because
grazier conflicts.
based on
So
your
youths are
experience,
embracing this
and
so very
we want
well
to know how
at
you
local
think that
level.
Indigenous
And
youth are contributing to
so far, it
sustainable
is something
land
which
governance,
has
and
really
how does your
generated
work
into
alongside with your experience on SGP
inspiring youths
and
to
also
be
as a
able
member of
to
the
get into
Indigenous
different
Peoples Advisory Group
land protective
of the GEF,
mechanisms, such as
support this.
the growth of
Aliou?
fruit trees, which is called agroforestry,
Yes, we
and
can
of course
hear you.
using non-timber forest products in Cameroon here to This is Aliou Mustafa. multiply Sorry, I'm just these putting off my products camera for in network areas reasons. where there seems Actually, as to be no Ushi good rightly land, like a mentioned, bare land, I where am a member of the youths GEF are now Advisory trying Board, to and I also do some sort of a reforestation was a using fellow fruit for the trees GEF and, of course, these Indigenous Peoples non-timber Fellowship forest Program. products, which is a very This is a important program source of which help economic a lot of activity indigenous to communities in Cameroon, the masses here in Cameroon and in beyond, project management,
which is
contributing
land
greatly to the
restoration,
gross domestic
organic
product of
agriculture,
Cameroon,
which
and of
is
course
part
the
of
per capita
the
income of the
culture
communities,
of the
especially the
Baka
indigenous
community in
communities.
Cameroon. And
So far, so good.
pastoralist communities
It's
who
been
rely on
promising,
land
and we're looking
for
forward to
grazing,
more
for animal
engagement with
keeping,
other stakeholders
and
on
for
how we
milk
can
production.
educate,
So during
empower
this
women,
fellowship,
young
which
girls,
was one of the
and
most
of course the
exciting
youth in this
journeys
fight, so that
in
we
my
all
own
can achieve
professional careers,
the
because I was
collective
able to
environmental
work with
global
so many
benefits that
communities
we
on
are
the
working on.
ground.
Thank you so
We're
much,
able to
Ushwe,
train
and dear
communities in
colleagues, I
the
thank you too.
south region of Cameroon on the organic agriculture
in areas
Thank you
where
so much,
land seems
Aliu.
not productive. This is
When I
using
first met
waste
Aliu
from
and he was
homes
telling me about this
to
fellowship, I
produce
didn't know that the
organic
GEF
fertilizer,
had
which is
this
chemical
type of
free, to be able
programs
to
and projects,
restore
because this
and
is
improve
part
upon
of our
lands
small
in that
grants
part of the
program,
country.
which
And
is
through these, community farms were
implemented by
created to enable the
UNDP.
people
The
to
small
divert
grants
their
program
attention
is a
from
direct
poaching and
access
illegal hunting
program that we
into
have,
agriculture,
which
which is
finances
something which the
youth-led
youths are
projects
embracing so
on
well.
the
And
ground
today
up
it's
to
becoming a big
75K
program in that part
US
of the
dollars.
country where
So if
many people
somebody
are
has an
so
idea, an
interested
innovative
in
idea
agriculture for
that
survival.
wants
In the
to
another side, we
get
have to deal with
financing,
the pastoralist
we
communities
encourage
of
you
the
to go
Bororo
to
people
the
in the northwest
UNDP Small
region of
Grants
Cameroon
Program
and the west
website
region of
and find
Cameroon
your
too.
national chapter and
This is a
see
community
when they
which
have
depends
open
solely
calls,
on land
because these
for
small
animal
grants
upbringing,
are
as I rightly said.
really
So
important to
we
empower
encourage
the communities on
the
keeping doing the
communities to
work
be
that they're
able
doing,
to
but also empowering them to get
restore
more access to
lands and,
technology,
of course,
to different
demarcate indigenous lands and territories
land management
using
areas,
animal
to
pasture
also
plots.
the knowledge
We
sharing, because
introduce
they
the
create a
production
community
of
within
and the growth
the other
of
small grants
Bracharia,
program, and then
Guatemala, and the
they
other
create a
animal
network of people working on
fodder,
the
which
same
is
area.
part of the
We had two
community,
more rounds of
so that these
questions, but I
communities can
think
be able to protect,
because of
restore, and improve upon land.
the short
And
time that we have, I will ask maybe Sagar, Liliana, Chris, and Aliu to
make
maybe
sure
highlight one of the best
land becomes
practices
so
or
sick
something that
fodder
they have learned from their
and
project or
farmer
their
grazier conflicts,
area
because here we are characterized with
that
so many
they
problems
think
of
it's very
farmer grazier
important
conflicts. So
for youth-led
this
innovation in the
our
land
initiative
area,
was more
which
of
is
a
something
means
that
to
they have
trace
extracted in their
transhuman
experience,
corridors for
and
graziers,
so they
so
can
much so that
also
they are going to limit
share with the
themselves
others. But
within their
also I
own
will
circle,
ask
not
the
infringing on
people that are
farmlands,
in
which
this
has always
webinar,
brought
which is
the issue of
around
farmer
90 people
grazier
at this
conflicts.
moment, to
So youths are
also
embracing
bring
this
up the
so very
what they
well
think that it
at
has
local
worked
level,
or
and
what the GEF can learn
so
from
far
their
it is something
experiences,
which
so we
has
can also
really
integrate it
generated
in our programs
into
and projects. So I will start
inspiring
maybe with
youths to be
Chris,
able
please.
to get
Thanks,
into
Joshua. Yeah,
different
I'll
land
try to be brief.
protective mechanisms, such
I
as
think fundamentally
the growth of
it's around
fruit
recognizing the
trees, which is
entrepreneurial
called
opportunities of
agroforestry,
restoration to
and of
engage youth
course
in
using
delivering
non-timber forest
long-term
products in
sustainable
Cameroon here
livelihood
to
options that are attractive to youth.
multiply
And I think
these
the fact that
products
both
in
Sagar
areas where there
and we have talked
seems
about
to
technology
be
as
no
being
good
central to
land, like
that,
a bare
really the
land where
digital
youths are now
generation
trying
of
to
the next are really
do some
those that
sort
will
of a
be the
reforestation
custodians
using
of
fruit trees,
biodiversity,
and
but
of
also
course
be the
these
entrepreneurs that
non-timber forest
bring
products, which is a
business
very
models and innovation
important
into
source of
restoration.
economic
And I think
activity
through the My
to
Farm Trees platform, we've seen
the
that
masses here
happening
in
really,
Cameroon and
really
beyond,
clearly
which is
through the
contributing
use of, for
greatly to the
example,
gross domestic product of
farm
Cameroon,
stewards
and
who are
of course the
young
per
people who
capita
are
income of the
monitoring and
communities,
mapping and
especially the indigenous
registering farmers
communities.
who are perhaps
So
older
far,
than
so
them
good.
into
It's
these
been
kind of digital
promising, and
spaces
we're looking
where
forward to more
biodiversity
engagement with
and
other
trees on farm
stakeholders on
become
how we
digital
can
assets. And for them to
educate,
be part of
empower
that
women, young
entrepreneurial
girls, and of course the youth in this
opportunity
fight,
where
so
you
that we all
value
can achieve
biodiversity,
a
not just
collective environmental
trees
global
growing for
benefits that we are
ecosystem
working on.
services, but
Thank you
the
so much,
trees that are the
Ushri, and
seed
dear
sources for
colleagues. Thank
future
you too.
restoration innovations. And I think Alio really emphasized this as
Thank you
well
so much,
around
Aliu.
recognizing that restoration is about
When I
restoring
first
degraded
met Aliu and
agricultural
he was
lands.
telling
It's
me
not
about this
just about
fellowship, I
forest,
didn't
it's
know that the
actually
GEF had
about making
this type of
agriculture something
programs and
more
projects,
than just
because this
food
is
production, but
part
a
of our small
lifestyle
grants
choice about
program,
how
which
youth
is
can develop innovative,
implemented by UNDP.
entrepreneurial
The small grants
opportunities in rural
program is a
environments where they
direct
improve
access
their lifestyle
program that
well-being,
we
but
have,
can be part
which
of a global
finances
society that are
youth-led
contributing to planetary
projects
issues
on the ground
and
up to
being paid
75K
for it. I
US
mean, part of
dollars.
the total ethos
So
of My
if
Farm Trees
somebody
is to
has an idea,
democratize
an
that
innovative
climate
idea
justice so that
that
the global
wants
communities
to
can pay
get
to
a
those
financing,
services being
we
provided.
encourage
And I
you
think
to
the
go
next
to the
generation are going
UNDP Small
to
Grants
of
Program
young
website and
restoration
find your
entrepreneurs are going to be
national
the ones
chapter
that champion and
and see when they have
fuel
open calls,
changing
because these
that
small
notion of
grants
restoration as being something
are
that's
really
a voluntary
important to empower
process to
the
something that's
communities
a
on
business
keeping doing the work
opportunity
that
and
they're doing, but also
entrepreneurship.
empowering
And
them
looking
to
ahead, I
get more
really
access to
see,
technology,
you know,
to
really this
different
being about prioritizing youth not as a
land
beneficiary, country, but as a co-investor in resilient landscapes. And where GEF, I think, can be really catalytic. We can unlock not only hectares restored, but a generation empowered to be co-investors and to yield both environmental and livelihood benefits from restoring our lands and ecosystems and contributing to retaining us within planetary boundaries.
To maybe highlight one of
Chris.
the
That
best
was a very
practices
well
or something that
structured
they have
answer
learned
that,
from their project or
got
their area.
all the points that
They
Sagar,
think it's
Liliana,
very
and Aliu
important
brought.
for youth-led innovation
Sagar, do you
in the
want
land
to follow
area,
up on that a
which is
little bit?
something that you have
maybe,
struck
I
in your
think, Chris, you did us
experience.
a favor.
And
I
so they
think
can
for
also
young people,
share
speaking
with
up
the
is
others,
very
but
easy,
also I
but
will
being truly heard
ask the
is
people that are
incredibly
in this
difficult.
webinar, which is
And of course,
around
there's
90
challenges, right?
people
There's
at this
funding,
moment,
there's
to
trust,
also bring up what they think
and
that it has worked,
mentorship. Right? We
or
need
what
to
the
have
GEF can learn
programs
from their
that create these
experiences,
mentorship
so we can
programs.
also
And
integrate it in our
within GEF,
programs and projects.
like Fonseca
So I
Leadership,
will
but the
start
Land
maybe with
Negotiators
Chris.
Program, I think they're a really good starting point.
I'll
But
try to be brief.
the reality is
I
there's
think
still very limited
fundamentally
mechanisms within the
it's
GEF
around
that directly
recognizing the
support youth-led
entrepreneurial
projects.
opportunities of restoration
And
through
as
innovation
GEF is
and
going into
delivering
the ninth
long-term
replenishment,
sustainable livelihood
looking for the funding
options
for the
that
next
are
4
attractive
years,
to youth. And I think the fact
we've
that
been
both Sagar and
it's
we
whole of
have talked
society
about
approach. So
technology as being
GEF
central to
and
that,
together
and
with the Civil
really the
Society Network, we've
digital
been pushing for the whole of
generations of the
society
next
approach, and
really
we're
those
saying,
that will
let's
give
change this, let's make
custodians
things
of
more
biodiversity,
inclusive.
but
So
also
just
being
like
the
STP
entrepreneurs
was
that
a pathway
bring
for communities,
business models
the
and
Inclusive
innovation
Conservation
into
Initiative was for
restoration.
Indigenous
And I think
people.
through the
We
My
should
Farm
start
Trees
thinking
platform,
what's
we've
for
seen
the
that happening
young people.
really
Maybe we
clearly,
have to think of
through the
some
use
mechanisms.
for example, farm
For this,
stewards,
we
being
already
young
began some
people who are
engagements,
monitoring
like
and
with the
mapping
Civil
and
Society Network.
registering
We started
farmers
the Whole of
who
Society
are perhaps
Talks.
older than them
It's a webinar series we
into
launched
these kind of
earlier this
digital
year
spaces
to
where
ensure youth, Indigenous people,
biodiversity
women,
and
and
trees on
communities are
farm
part of
become
these
digital
discussions
assets, and for them to be
before
part of that
programming decisions are
entrepreneurial
finalized. So really, this is a way
opportunity
for
where you
young people
value
to join in and
biodiversity,
shape
not just
how
trees growing for ecosystem
the
services,
billions of
but
GEF money
the
is going
trees
to be
that are the
spent
seed
in the
sources for
next years.
future restoration innovations.
And
I
if
think
GEF 9 is
Alio really emphasized
serious,
this as
if
well
the Global
around
Environment Facility is serious
recognizing
about
that
the whole of society
restoration is
approach,
about
then
restoring
youth-led
degraded
innovation
agricultural lands.
needs
It's
to
not
have
just
its
about
clear
forest. It's
place in
actually
its programming.
about making
And
agriculture
as I
something
previously said,
more
and I
than
think
just
we
food
all agree
production,
that
but a
when
lifestyle
young people are
choice about
trusted
how
and resourced,
youth can
we
develop
just don't
innovative,
inspire, we innovate, we build, and
entrepreneurial
we deliver.
opportunities in
Thank you.
rural environments where they improve their lifestyle
Thank
well-being,
you. I've
but can be
put
part
it
of
in
a
the chat.
global society
I
that
don't know
are
if everybody
contributing to
can see it, but
planetary issues
the GEF CSO
and being
network,
paid for it. I mean,
Whole
part
of
of the
Society
total
series
ethos of
talk
My
if you
Farm
want to
Trees is to
join for the
democratize
next
that
ones
climate
also.
justice so that the
Liliana, do you
global
want to
communities
add
can pay for those
something
services
shortly?
being provided. And I think the next generation are going to
Sí,
of young restoration
gracias.
entrepreneurs can be the ones
Bueno,
that
para
champion
nosotros lo
and
más importante
fuel
que hemos
changing
aprendido es la construcción del
that notion of
colectivismo, ¿no? Lo
restoration as being
importante
something
que es
that's a
crear la
voluntary
red de
process
apoyo
to
para
something
los
that's a
jóvenes
business
y también
opportunity and
entender que
entrepreneurship.
los y las
And looking ahead, I
jóvenes
really see
somos
really
distintos,
this being about
tenemos
prioritizing
diferentes
not as a
perfiles,
beneficiary but as a
también
co-investor in
es
resilient
todo un
landscapes.
trabajo
And where
o es
Jeff,
todo
I
un
think, can be really
desafío poder
catalytic.
juntar
We can
nuestras
unlock
voces.
not only
Tenemos
hectares
diferentes
restored, but
formas de
a
pensar,
generation
diferentes formas de
empowered
hacer
to
las
be
cosas, pero cuando
co-investors and to
encontramos
yield
esa articulación y
both
nos
environmental
unimos,
and
podemos
livelihood
realmente hacer
benefits
grandes
from
cosas, ¿no?
restoring our
Entonces,
lands
no
and
algo que nosotros
ecosystems
siempre
and
resaltamos
contributing
es
to
justamente el
retaining
colectivismo y la
planetary
articulación,
balance.
que ha sido uno de los pilares para desarrollar
Thank you, Chris.
nuestra
That was a very
experiencia, ¿no? En
well
Wiper Perú, lo
structured
que
answer
estamos
that,
haciendo ahora,
got
conectarnos con
all
los
the points
jóvenes a
that
nivel
Sagar,
regional
Liliana, and Aliu
y también
brought.
llegar ya a los jóvenes de
Sagar, do you
manera
wanna
territorial
follow up on that a little
y
bit?
también
Maybe,
conectar
I
un
think,
poco con
Chris,
nuestras
you did us a
raíces, porque
favor.
todos,
I
casi
think
todos los que
for
estamos en
young
Waipar
people,
tenemos
speaking up is
nuestras
very easy,
raíces
but
en la
being
parte
truly
rural,
heard
¿no? Y yo también soy una
incredibly
joven rural
difficult.
que ha venido a estudiar
And
a
of
la
course,
parte
there's
urbana.
challenges, right? There's
Entonces
funding, there's
conectamos
trust,
mucho con eso. Creemos
and
que una vez que
mentorship, right? We
creamos ese
need to have
colectivismo o ese
programs
apoyo,
that create
empezamos
these
a
mentorship
sumar
programs.
esfuerzos
And
para sentirnos
within
más
GEF,
seguros y poder
like Fonseca
explorar lo que es
Leadership,
la
but the Land Negotiators
innovación,
Program, I
pensar
think
fuera
they're
de la
really
caja,
good starting point.
pensar en
But
cosas que no se
the
están viendo
reality
y
is there's
probar,
still
¿no?
very
Siempre
limited
es
mechanisms
probar
within the GEF
algo nuevo, o
that
sea,
directly
para
support
poder
youth-led projects.
tener nuevas
And as
formas
GEF is
de
going into
abordar
the
la
ninth
problemática,
replenishment,
que sigue
looking
siendo
for the funding for the next 4
problemas
years.
en nuestro país y creo que también a nivel mundial, ¿no? Entonces,
it's
para la
full of
parte
society
ambiental,
approach.
si
So
bien hay mucha
GEF and together
concientización
with civil
para
society network,
querer
we've been
hacer
pushing for the
cosas,
whole
pero
of
también falta
society
mucho apoyo
process. We're
todavía.
saying, let's
Y
change this, let's
también
make
la
things
parte de
more
la
inclusive. So
concientización
just
a la
like
población
STP was
misma
a pathway
es
for
un desafío
communities,
que
the
termina
Inclusive
siendo
Conservation
fuerte
Initiative
todavía,
was for
¿no?
Indigenous
Entonces,
people. We should start
eso,
thinking also
muchas
for the
gracias.
young people. Maybe we have to think of some mechanisms.
Thank you. Thank you,
For
Liliana.
this,
It's very
we already
important
began
to,
some
as you said,
engagements,
to build collectivism,
with the Civil
to
Society
feel that
Network. We
you have
started the Whole of
networks, you
Society
have
Talks.
people to
It's a
learn,
webinar
to
series we
get
launched
support and
earlier this
support
year
other
to ensure
people,
youth,
to have
Indigenous people,
that
women, and
safe
communities are
space to
part of
talk
these
around young
discussions
people and the hardships
before
that we are
programming
living in
decisions are
this
finalized.
era.
So really, this is a way for
Thank you
young
very
people
much.
to
I
join
will
in and shape
also ask Aliu if
how
he has some final
the billions of
reflections on
GEF
how
money
he
is going to be
sees
spent in the next years.
the future, how we can push more
And if
Indigenous
GEF9
young
is
people
serious, if
to
the Global
work
Environment Facility is serious
together,
about the whole of society approach,
to
then
support the
youth-led
projects and
innovation needs to have its clear place in its programming.
All right, thank you very much,
As I
Ushri.
previously said, and I think we
From my
all agree
experience
that
and
when young people are trusted and
with all the
resourced,
activities
we
working
just
on
don't
the
inspire,
ground,
we innovate, we
one
build,
of
and
the
we
most
deliver.
inspiring things and something which I really retained and keep
Thank
in
you.
mind till
I
today is
have put
that
it in the chat.
youths
I
and
don't know if
indigenous
everybody
people,
can see it,
especially
but
women and the
the
girls,
GEF
are very
CSN
important
network
in the conservation
Whole of
efforts
Society series talk if you want
because
to
women
join
play a
for the
very
next
critical
minutes
role
also.
in terms of
Liliana, do you want to
community
add
development, even though
something
sometimes they are
shortly?
left behind without consultations and they are maybe not fully taken into consideration, but they play a very vital role in terms of
Yes, I do.
managing the homes, managing the community too,
When
because
we have
farmlands in this
the
side
most
depends
important
on
lesson is
women.
the building
Youths
of
are also embracing it,
collectivism.
and
It's about
of
building
course,
this small
it's
networks for
becoming
the
some sort of
youth.
an economic lifestyle for the people. This is
Youth,
something which I
men
will
and
really
women, we're
recommend and
different. We
encourage,
have
that we
different
keep the women at
profiles.
the forefront of these issues, knowing fully well that their efforts are never undermined, but so
And it is a
important to the process as
challenge
well.
to be able
I
to
just had a
join our
question.
voices. We
Someone
have
dropped a
different
question on the
ways of
chat asking
thinking.
me
We have
how
different ways of
the sale of
acting. But once we
wild
find this
forest
nexus
products can
and
help
we unite,
conserve,
we
protect the
really can
forest.
do
Yes, it is
amazing
important because
things. So something
forest
we always
exploiters,
highlight
they
is
take away lands,
collectivism
they
and
destroy the
creating
forest,
nexus,
they
which
send
has
people
been
out of their
the
settlements,
basis
out
for
of their
our
ancestral
experience in
lands
Peru.
in search
And
of
what we're doing now,
wood,
it is about getting
exploiting forests
together
and
with the
timber in this
youth at
part
a
of the
regional
country. So
level
this
and
is something
also
which the existence
having a
of this north and
territorial
this
perspective
wild
when I worked with the
forest
youth.
products,
We also
which is some sort of an
wanted to
economic
go back to our roots,
motivation to the
because
people,
I
has
myself
inspired them to
even
protect
am
their
a
forests, to
rural
tell the people,
person
no, you
who
have your
came to
limits to
study
cross
to the
this
city.
area.
So
You
that's
are
something we
limited
really
not
connect,
to
going back to our
exploit
roots zone.
these trees because we
Once we
use the
have
fruits as a
created this
source of
support, this
income.
collectivism,
So I just
that's
saw
when
that
we
in the chat
join
and just
efforts
decided
to
to
feel
highlight that and
safer
make sure
and to be able to
my
explore
question is
innovation,
I'm
thinking
part
outside
of that
the box
answer.
and thinking
Thank you so
of
much, and
things that
really
aren't
happy to
being
work with you
seen.
and
And it's
all
about
meet you all here today.
trying something new
Thank you very much, Aliu.
in order
And
to
it's also
have
very important, and we
new
need to
ways of
highlight the
approaching the
FPIC process, the free and
issues that
prior
are
informed
still
consent, whenever we do
an issue
projects
in
in
our
indigenous
country and on a
territories.
global
The
level. So,
indigenous peoples have
of course, when it comes
their
to
own rights and their own limitations,
environmentalism,
and they
there's a
need
lot of
to
awareness,
keep
but we
projects
still
need to be
require a lot of
self-determined.
support. And when it
We
comes
cannot
to
go as a financial
raising
mechanism. We
awareness among
cannot go to
population,
these
it is
lands
a
and to
challenge
establish a
that is
project
still
without
quite
this process.
significant
And it's very
nowadays. So
important
thank you
to
very much.
hear them and also understand their limits. So as Aliu has said, if they say no, it's very important to self-determine. They need to determine their own rights, where the projects need to go, until which extent. And this is something that at the GEF we have into the core. We understand that in all our projects and programs, we have the process with an environmental and social safeguards. I wanna have, like, if somebody wants to join also, Chris, Liliana, Sagaro, Aliu, from some of the project questions that I have here. I saw that Muindo Wilson, I hope I'm saying your name right. You answered like you
Thank
asked
you very
about
much, Ushri.
food
From my
systems, land use
experience
and
and
restoration projects and programs in
with all the
Uganda.
activities working on the ground,
The GEF
one of
has
the
the
most
food systems
inspiring
integrated
things and
program
something which I really retained
that
and
was
keep
launched in
in
GEF
mind
9
till
this
today
year,
is
and
that
it's
youths
starting to
and
be
indigenous
it's
people,
going
especially
to be
women and the
implemented
girls, are very
in
important
the
in the
next years. And
conservation
one of the
efforts
countries that we are working
because
is in
women
Uganda.
play a very critical role in
So
terms
what
of
we do have there
community
in the
development,
views
even though
of
sometimes they are
youth,
left behind
why
without
part
consultations
Uganda,
and they
it's
are maybe
present at the
not
governance
fully
model
taken
of
into
this
consideration,
project.
but they play a very vital
We
role
have
in
a
terms
representative called Tadeu Ajuna,
managing the homes, managing the community too, because farmlands in this site depends on women.
He lets
Youths are
the
also
youth
embracing it,
lands
and
in this
of
project,
course,
so it's in the
it's becoming some
governance
sort of an
model.
economic
And this
lifestyle for the
project
people.
has a very
This
strong
is
component
something
in
which I would
capacity
really
building,
recommend
but
and
also
encourage, that we
access
keep the women at the
to
forefront of
resources
these
such as
issues, knowing fully well that their efforts are never undermined,
microcredits,
but so important to
trainings,
the process
and
as well.
other
I
type
just had
of
a
capacity
question.
building
Someone dropped a
activities
question on
and
the
access
chat
to
asking me
resources.
how
But I will
the sale
suggest
of
for you to maybe to
wild
contact with
forest
Waipare
products
Uganda,
can help
because they are
conserve
part of the
protect the
governance
forest.
model of
Yes,
these
it is important
projects.
because
And at the same time, I see
forest
that you have
exploiters,
asked what are the
they
specific
take away land,
strategies
they
to address
destroy the
the gender
forest, they
disparity
send
in
people
land
out of
ownership
their
with
settlements, out of their
women
ancestral
and
lands
promoting
in
their
terms in
economic
search of
empowerment. So
wood,
where
exploiting
customary
forests and timber
practices
in this part of the
prevail,
country. So this is
what
something
we
which
try to do is
the
understanding
existence
those
of
customary
this north and this
practices. We try
wild
to understand by a
forest
gender
products,
analysis that all
which
GEF
is some
projects
sort of an
need to do.
economic
What are the practices? What are the
motivation to the people,
limitations? What
has
are the
inspired them to
challenges that
protect
women
their
have?
forests, to
And
tell the
we
people,
need
no,
to
you have your
take a gender
limits to cross
responsive
this
approach.
area.
This
You are
means that
limited not
we
to
need to
exploit
analyze those
these trees because we use the
challenges
fruits
and
as
then
a source of
establish some
income.
strategies
So
that
I just saw
according
that
to
in the
those
chat and just
customary
decided
practices,
to
we
highlight
can
that and
empower
make sure
women. We can get
my question is
women to
the
access
part
land
of that answer.
resources, to access capacity
Thank you so much,
training
and
activities,
really
to
happy
have
to
economic
work with you and all
empowerment.
meet you all here
For
today.
example, in this area, we had a great program
Aliu.
in
And it's also
Burundi
very important, and
on
we need to highlight
land
the
restoration.
FPIC
I
process, the
think
free
with
and
the
prior
World Bank,
informed consent
that
whenever we do projects
we
in
offer
indigenous
access to
territories.
microcredits and
The
sustainable
indigenous
land
peoples
management
have
practices
their own
to
rights
those
and their own limitations, and they need
to those
to
families.
projects
We
need to
were
be
seeing people
self-determined.
as a family
We cannot go as a
unit instead
financial
of a
mechanism. We
man or
cannot
a
go
woman,
to these lands
because
and
normally
to
they work
establish a
together.
project without
And we
this
were
process. And
supporting
it's very important to
and encouraging
hear
those
them and
families
also
units
understand their limits. So as Aliu
to
has said, if they say no,
register the
it's
land
self-determined.
titles
They need
to both the
determine
men and the
their
women.
own rights.
So
where the projects need to go until
with this
which
project,
extent. And
we
this is
the
something that at the GEF
97%
we
of
have
the land
into the core. We understand that in all our
land
projects
owners
and
that we
programs,
targeted
we have the process
registered
based on
their
environmental and
spouses
social
as also
safeguards.
land
I
owners
wanna have like if somebody wants to
in the
join
land
also,
register. So what we saw
Chris,
with this
Liliana,
is like when you
Sagaro,
give them an
from some of
incentive,
the
when we
project,
do
questions
explain
that I
them,
have
but if
here,
you explain them in an equal way, not understanding the customary practices,
Wilson, I
you
hope
can
I'm
get
saying your name
the
right.
conversation
You
further. So
answer
what
like any.
we
You asked
usually
about
do is, first of all, you need to
food
understand
systems,
what are the
land use and
limitations, and then
restoration
you need to
projects
have
and programs in
partners on
Uganda.
the ground. It can be religious partners,
The
it
GEF
can
has
be
the food
a
systems
young woman
integrated
champions that
program
everybody respects
that
on
was
that
launched
village,
in GEF
and then we
9 this
start
year,
tackling
and
little
it's
by little.
starting to
Changes
be
do not come
it's going
by
to
creating
be implemented
like a
in
big
the
project
next
that
years. And
mandates
one of
that,
the
but
countries
it's
that we are
understanding the
working
people
is
and their
in Uganda.
practices.
So what we do
And
have there
I'm
in,
seeing questions
in the
about
views
how
of
to
youth,
access and
why
how to
part
benefit from GEF
Uganda,
project
it's
as
present at the governance
volunteers
model of
or
this
in the
project.
designing of them.
We have a
There are
representative
different
called
ways that
Tadeu
you can
Ajuna,
participate in a GEF
and
project, but for you
he
to see what are the projects that are
lets
happening on the
the
ground
youth
by the
lands in
GEF,
this
I
project. So
suggest
it's
you
in
to
the
go to the GEF
governance
website, to the
model.
projects,
And this
and see
project
what are the
has
projects
a very
that
strong
are
component
in
in
your
capacity
country.
building,
And
but
then
also
you can
access
learn more about those
to
projects,
resources such
and
as
you can see who are leading those projects,
microcredits,
which
trainings,
organizations.
and
But
other
the
type of
main thing
capacity
that
building activities
I will
and
call
access
it
to
as a
resources. But I
young
will
leaders
suggest
yourselves,
for you to
you could
maybe to contact
also
with
engage with
Waipare
the
Uganda,
CSO network,
because they are part of
where
the
Sagari is
governance
a
model of this
representative.
project.
They
And at the same
provide
time,
trainings,
I
they
see
provide
that you have asked
information,
what are
they
the
have a
specific
network of
strategies
people working
to
on the
address
ground
the gender
that
disparity
will
in land
help also
ownership
understand better
with
the
women
GEF
and
landscape of
promoting their
projects
economic
on your
empowerment.
country. But
So
also you can
our
also work
customary
with
practices
your GEF
prevail.
focal point at
What
your
we try
country,
to do is
and you can
understanding
also
those
find that on our
customary
website, and you can
practices.
ask
We try
about the
to
projects that are
understand
happening
by
on
a
the
gender
ground.
analysis that
We
all
do
GEF
have the
projects
Small Grants
need to do.
Program, as I
What are the
mentioned,
practices?
and then
What
some other initiatives such as
take a gender responsive approach.
the
This means
Inclusive
that
Conservation
we need to
Initiative
analyze
for
those,
Indigenous-led projects and the
and then
Fonseca
establish some
Fellowship if you want
strategies that
capacity
according to
building
those
activities.
customer
But
practice,
if you
we
want to
can
start on
empower
the ground, I
women.
would suggest
We
to
can
start
get
working with White Bar,
women to
maybe if it's in
access
a national
land
chapter in your
resources, to
area,
access
or
capacity
with the
training
CSO network
activities,
on your
to have
area.
economic empowerment.
For example, in this area, we had a great
I don't know if there's
Burundi
other
on the land
countries
restoration.
out there questions in here. I know
that,
there is a question for you,
we offer access to
Liliana,
microcredits
that
and sustainable land
it's
management
in
practices.
Spanish. I don't know if you want to answer
To those,
from Linda Garcia
to those
Polanco.
families,
It's
we were
about
seeing people
what
as a
strategies
family
do you
unit instead
have
of
in Wiper
a man
Peru
or a woman,
to support
because
those
normally
young
they work together,
people that
and
want
we
to
were supporting
stay in their
and
territory,
encouraging those families units
or they want to come back to work
to,
after finalizing their
register
studies.
the land titles to both the men and the women. So with this
Hola,
project,
sí.
the 97% of the
Algo que
land,
nosotros discutimos mucho en
landowners that we
justamente hablar del joven rural,
registered
pensar
their
de que el
spouses
joven
as
rural
also,
no tiene que
landowners
tener ese perfil de quedarse totalmente en
the
la
land
ruralidad.
register. So what we saw with this is like when you give them an
Puede
incentive, when you
buscar mejores
explain them, but if you
oportunidades
explain them in an equal way, not
en el
understanding the customary practices, you can
transitar
get
de lo rural al
the
urbano
conversation
y
further.
crear
So
esta
what we
articulación
usually do is,
que
first of all, you
puede
need to
mejorar
understand
la
what are
parte
the
local.
limitations, and then you
Entonces,
need to have partners
no
on the ground.
vamos
It can be
diciendo de
religious
que se
partners,
tienen que
it can
quedar.
be a young
Nosotros
woman
vemos
champions
el
that
que
everybody
quiere
respects on
quedarse,
that
se
village,
siente
and then we
mejor
start tackling
estando
little by
en
little.
el campo, está bien,
Changes
y
do
el
not
que no
come by
también,
creating
pero lo que
like
sí
a
promovemos
big
es
project
que
that
veamos
mandates
a la
that, but
parte
it's understanding the
territorial
people
como
and their
una nueva
practices.
forma de desarrollo, como una nueva forma de innovación
I'm
y de que
seeing
todos
questions
podemos
about
aportar
how
a
to
ello.
access
Entonces
and how to
estamos como
benefit from GEF
reconfigurando
project
también un
as
poco el
a
perfil del
volunteers or
joven
in the
rural
designing
que
of
estaba
them.
muy encriptado
There are
en
different
decir que
ways that you
tiene que
can
ser el que
participate
vive
in
en
a GEF
territorio.
project,
Nosotros
but
que no
for you
permanecemos
to
mucho en
see what are the
territorio
projects
rural,
that
pero
are
sin
happening on the
embargo
ground
estamos
by the
trabajando
GEF,
mucho
I suggest
con
you
toda
to
la
go to the GEF
temática,
website,
nos
to the
sentimos
projects,
jóvenes
and see
rurales,
what are the
¿no?
projects that are
Entonces
in the
ya
country.
estamos como
And
cambiando
then
este
you
chip
can
un poco
learn
que
more
el
about
tema
those projects,
territorial tiene que
and you
ser
can
el que
see
nos
who
identifica,
are
si no
leading
es
those
más lo que
projects,
hacemos
which
en el día a día, lo que
organizations.
promovemos y cómo nos
The main
estamos
thing that I will
comprometiendo
call it
con el
as
desarrollo de nuestros
young
territorios.
leaders yourselves, you could also engage with the CSO network, where Sagari is a representative.
Okay. Y eso
They
sería.
provide trainings, they provide
Thank you very much,
information. They
Liliana.
have
I'm
a
seeing
network
that
of
Neil
people
and
working on the ground,
Liliana
that
Liliana
will
are
help
asking us
to
to wrap
understand
up.
better the
So
GEF
I just want to
landscape of
say thank you
projects
so
on
much
your
for
country.
coming here
But
today
also,
and to
you can
for
also work with
sharing all your
GEF,
questions. I have
focal
put my
point
email
at
there
your
if you have
country,
more
and
questions.
you can
I
also
don't know if
find that
Lilian
on our
or Neil
website,
can also share
and
it
you
to
can ask about
all
the
the
projects that are happening
participants.
on the ground.
So if you have any
We
questions,
do
feel
have the
free
Small Grants
to
Program, as I mentioned,
to
and then
shoot me a
some
text,
other
an email, whenever, and we can
initiatives,
give you more
such
information
as
on how you can engage on the ground
Inclusive
with the GEF.
Conservation Initiative,
But what I want to recap is like what
and the
we
Fonseca
have heard
Fellowship,
today,
if you want
and it's very
capacity
important, is
building
that it's
activities.
young people
But if you want to start
are
on the
not only
ground, I would
just
suggest you
participants,
start
but we need to
working
see
with
them as
YPAR,
engines,
maybe if
as
it's a national
entrepreneurial
chapter in your
actors
area,
also,
or with
as
the CSO network
innovators.
on your area.
And what we need to do is to democratize the climate justice, democratize the access to technology, and also the access to resources in capacity building, financing on other areas. And technology has been central to this because opening businesses, opportunities, and pathways for youth are it's the way to go to have sustainable projects, to have a sustainable development of the economy, of the agriculture, and then to combat at the same time this triple planetary crisis that we're living in. But we need to remember that youth it's diverse. It's not the same challenges that young Indigenous people or young women are facing nowadays. But we need to work through collectivism. We have to find the nexus that works that unites us. So what we want from the GEF, we want to push this next generation of young restoration leaders, young entrepreneurs. We want to hear your views, you want to hear your ideas. So please feel free to write to us, to bring us your ideas. We are coming to the next GEF cycle. As Sagar has said, we have an idea of a whole of society approach with young people from the rural areas, urban, academy, private sector, come all together to work
together in
link
this triple
that
planetary
can
crisis that we are
enrich
living
the local
nowadays.
areas.
So thank
So
you so
we are
much, and
not
also
saying
thank
that
you
they need to
very much
stay
to Neil and Lilian
in their
for inviting
lands.
us here today.
Just say
And
that the
as I
people
said,
that are
please
feeling
feel free
better
to send an
in
email to
the rural
us.
areas
I will connect
can
you to
stay
the
there.
people. I will
But we
connect you to
think
Waipad and
that
to
the
to Sagar
lands,
and everybody
the rural
that was here
areas
today.
are a
Thank you
new
very much.
way of developing. So we